Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Taklai as always, and we have a new report from the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission, and I thought I would say a few things about it because I think there are some points to dwell on. So this is a report by the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission, and so actually before I go to the content, maybe I'm going to say a few words about the fact that the report is just in Amharic and not in English, because normally when the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission publishes reports, they do so in Amharic and in English. And the reason for that, the Amharic is for local audience, but also they cater to the Western audience as well, because and this is something for which I don't have concrete evidence, and as I always say, I don't generally like saying things without having evidence, but my guess is that the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission is funded by Western countries. It has a sort of implied responsibility to report to them, and for that reason, generally it publishes reports in Amharic and English. It's not just reports. Even when the Commissioner Daniel Bekele tweets, it's always in English and in Amharic, and I think it's part of that arrangement of catering to both the local audience and the Western audience. But today, it is an exception. The report is just in Amharic. It's not in English. There is no English version of it. And I mean, maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe it's just a case of the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission not doing its homework, or maybe there is something more sinister. But my working assumption is that when it comes to Ethiopia, you have to always attribute the worst possible intentions to everything and anything that they do, because 99 times out of 100 you would be right. So my guess is that Daniel felt compelled to placate his Amhara base by writing a report in Amharic, but he didn't feel confident enough to write the report in English because that wouldn't sit well with Abiy Ahmed. So he's having to straddle two very, very tricky positions, and is doing some sort of balancing act. That would be my guess. But like I said, I don't want to imply stuff that for which I don't have. But just for you to think about. And in terms of the content of the report, it's about what the Commission says has been unfolding in Amhara in relation to the conflict between the Abiy troops and the Amhara paramilitary Fano group. And the report says that there has been extrajudicial killings by the Ethiopian troops in Amhara, that there are hidden detention centers, which wouldn't again come as a surprise, because there have been talks about the existence of these detention centers, not officially acknowledged, but otherwise housing hundreds of tens of thousands of Amhara people, put there only because they are Amharas, not because they have been suspected of anything, but because they are Amharas. And that is what Abiy is doing now to the Amharas. What is happening to the Amharas now is a mini version of what Abiy did to the Tigrans until the signing of the peace agreement between Tigray and Ethiopia in November. Well, still, Tigrans continue to be discriminated against, but it has subsided, the magnitude of it. I'm not trying to draw any parallel, any comparison between what is happening to the Amharas and to Tigrans. As we all know, the thing that the Abiy regime did to Tigrans is much, much more serious than what is happening in Amhara, because in Tigray, as all of us know, it was man-made starvation. It was total blockade of everything. It was drone strikes every morning. It was almost officially sanctioned arresting of people in Addis Ababa and everywhere. So it's a completely different magnitude of atrocities against the Tigrans, of course. But in terms of the nature, it's the same. Before, it was the Tigrans who were being discriminated against or abused or harassed or killed because of who they were. And now it is the Amharas. And I, it's something against which everybody should raise their voice. It's not time to say, well, it's the Amharas now, it's none of my business, I'm going to keep quiet if I'm a Tigran, or the other way around. I think we have to move past that sort of division, because Abiy is exploiting that division among the people. So when he does atrocious things to the Amharas, the Oromos and the Tigrans keep quiet. And when he did all the things that I mentioned against Tigrans, there was nobody speaking out against that from Amhara or from Oromia. And that was part of the reason why it was easy for Abiy to do those things. And I think we have to close that chapter. And it's part of that desire to move on that I have in my small way. I'm trying to speak out against what is happening in Amhara as well. And I'm ethnic Tigran, and if I excuse myself by saying that I'm a Tigran, so what is happening in Amhara doesn't concern me, or because the Amhara didn't speak out when Tigrans were discriminated against, now it's payback time. I could do those silly things, but it's first of all, it's wrong on point of principle to not speak out when civilians being discriminated against. But also the only way to put an end to the vicious circle of atrocities, of war, of abuse, of all the really, really horrible things that Ethiopia has been going through, is for people to transcend past their ethnic, tribal loyalties. So I'm trying to encourage that sense as well. By making sure that what is happening in Amhara comes to light, people know what is happening and stuff. So please do go and read the report. It's in Amharic again, like I said. For those of you who don't speak Amharic, I'm sorry, but in a way I have given you the summary. But it's a short report. But that was that, and have a nice evening from my time zone, and see you soon. Bye bye.